America for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
Taking a look out at the grid here for Superbike as we get closer to race time. You see the number 50 there on the middle of the front roads. Bobby Fong getting a little bit of a reset after yesterday's race. Roger, he was able to pick the bike up, bring it home in 11th place, still score some points, but he put all the work in practice and qualifying to get himself up front, and now he gets another shot at it.
Yeah, it's going to be important for Bobby to get a really good start there early on in this race. And just try to break away and do his own thing. He's also another rider new to this team, and you know, with the last race being wet, not a ton of dry laps and race conditions. So for Bobby, this could be a big race, but it's going to start right here off the line.
Grid is being cleared. You can see all of the team members making their way back to the pit lane area. Normally, what we see at a lot of racetracks is they would just go through a break in the wall, the concrete wall here on the front straightaway at Road Atlanta. It's really tall. Sometimes it's just difficult to get over, so they have to go all the way back and into pit lane the long way around. But all the riders in their positions right now.
Trying to get these mechanics in a little bit of some good shape.
And it is a little bit of an uphill run as well. All right, warm-up lap underway. 17 riders here in Superbikes. When you factor in the stock 1000 machinery that's on the property here this weekend, Superbike Cup points being awarded today as well.
Cam has showed really good pace this weekend, Beaubier, so it's going to be interesting to see who can match him. He's been practicing, and even in long runs this morning in the warm-up, he was really fast. So for those riders behind him, they do not want to see the number 6 starting to get away early on.
Jake Gagne did a lot of laps this morning in warm-up as well. We'll watch if those changes from overnight work.
Back here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Braselton, Georgia, for Superbike race number 2 of an outstanding MotoAmerica Superbike at Atlanta weekend. Jay, let's take a look at that starting grid, because Cameron Beaubier had a 123.736 to lead us. And don't forget, there was a little bit of that oil dry in turn 1, so no track records broken this one.
Fong, Sean Dillon Kelly, Herrin, and Escalante with Gagne are going to run out your first 2 rows. Then we got Gillum, Benjamin Smith, Ashton Yates, Bryce Cornbow, J.D. Beach, and Max Flinders on row 4. Danilo Lewis, Dion Campbell, Giannato, and then we have on row 6 Josh Waters and Alex Orengo. Good to see Alex in the paddock right now. He's been riding stock 1000 as well. And Josh Waters has been riding really well this weekend also. So got a fast, you know, we don't have a huge grid, but we got a fast grid, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of really good riders, and you see the 78 of Ben Smith. Had a really good talk with him and his father earlier on, and they're happy with everything and the way things are going. And for Ben, you know, yesterday was a wet race, and he didn't get a lot of dry time like you kind of said on Friday. So, you know, for the setup for them, this is going to be, you know, see how this bike goes. They got a long season ahead of them. You look at Bryce Cornbow as well as Dion Campbell. A couple teammates out in Southern California.
Yeah, Bryce Cornbow, of course, formerly known as Bryce Prince, for those people that may be familiar with that name, and that's his team, BPR Racing. All right, 19 laps scheduled for Superbike race number 2. When you hear those revs going up, it's because we're getting ready to go racing. Oh, Sean Dillon Kelly creeped. I'm not sure how that's going to work. He did go to a full stop, though.
Got the bike stopped, and he didn't really in 4th. So we'll see what happens there. But 2 attack Yamahas are going to funnel in behind that BMW, that fast BMW of Cam Beaubier. And, you know, you can see, Greg, they get to the top of this hill, going down into this tricky little chicane area. Just want to make sure we get all the bikes through here. It looks like we do. Giannato there on the back, just getting the last one through there. And I can't tell just yet. I think it's Gagne. It's Bobby Fong actually in 2nd. Gagne 3rd. STK and Herrin. And Herrin's another guy, Greg. I talked to him this morning, and you know, you can see he's having a look down the inside of STK as they come down to turn 6. He's going to make that pass. And we're going to see who has the horsepower when they come out of here in turn 7.
So the number 1 plate slotted there in the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati entry. And Herrin just losing a little bit of drive out of turn number 7. But look at that BMW trying to dart away. But Bobby Fong positioning himself on the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing R1 to try to catch as much draft as he can. Now Bobby's got work to do on the brakes. He cut a little bit more of an inside line. Beaubier opens it up. He's able to sweep through 10A, 10B. Up over the hill they go to the final corner of this racetrack.
Yeah, and you can see Bobby went in there tight, probably thinking there's going to be a big group of riders behind him, and he doesn't want to lose touch with Cameron Beaubier, so he's trying to keep that track position to where he can try to go after Cam through this first sector that they are now in as Beaubier leads across the line. Herrin has closed that gap up to the back of Jake Gagne. Go up the hill for the first time, for the first full lap.
You can really see that Ducati Panigale V4R struggling for grip up the hill. Now this team had started with an underbelly exhaust, and now they go the under seat for balance. But here's a look at Beaubier getting down the bottom of the hill. Our first good look at Beaubier. Bike moving around a little bit on fresh Dunlop rubber.
Yeah, full tank of fuel and all those kind of things. Going down that hill, you got to get that bike stopped. So for Herrin, speaking with him earlier, he said, Jay, I got to just get a good start. I can't let Cam get too far out in front, so I got to get by people quickly. So you saw him get by SDK earlier. Now he's going to be in the draft of Jake Gagne. Expect that Ducati. He's right in the perfect spot for a good draft and pass move on Gagne as they go down this back straightaway. He's going to pull out to the right of Gagne. Is he going to be able to make that pass? He is, and we know how good he is on the brakes at the bottom, so he's going to be able to defend that position as SDK continues to stick with them. And I think Gagne and SDK now are going to have to do what they can to keep up with Herrin as the front three will want to start to try to break away.
Sean Dillon Kelly, number 40 on the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki, the GSXR 1000R. And looking at the top speeds in a draft, able to equal the speed of Cameron Beaubier, 185 miles an hour, but Beaubier did that out front on his own, and Sean Dillon Kelly was doing that in a couple bike draft. But a 124.392, the first fast lap of the race, and that's going to go to Cameron Beaubier.
Yeah, now you see Gagne and SDK chasing that Ducati down. I'll start looking at some splits here to see where the time's being gained. You can see Herrin just starting to creep away from the two riders that are going to be battling for fourth place. But for Cam Beaubier, Bobby Fong, and Herrin, the first split should be coming up on our screens. 33.4, 33.6, 33.3 for Herrin. So he's a 10th quicker as the board lights up red all the way across for these guys until Herrin went kind of through there. So Herrin's he's got his head down, and we know, Greg, that by half distance and further back, further on in the race, Herrin's always really strong at the end.
Yeah, he certainly is. And hey, play MotoAmerica for cash. Superbike, Baggers, and Supersport Series are now live on top sport books and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playma to see what's available in your location. Sign up and claim exclusive bonuses and make your picks now. Number 32, Jake Gagne, Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha. Sliding back to fourth place, Sean Dillon Kelly hot on his heels. And of course, when you looked at track records here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Gagne was the owner of the fastest lap around here, a 1:23.453 done in 2023 in qualifying. So we know that he's capable at this racetrack. It just doesn't seem this particular trip to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta that all things have clicked in place for him. But the most impressive rider to me right now has to be the number one of Josh Herrin, JP. He's been in the drive, floating around that 6th, 7th area in terms of fast times, but he's really gotten on the back and been able to follow Bobby Fong. Now we go back to a battle of racers, a mix of stock 1000 machines and a Superbike wannabe machine on the 69.
A Superbike wannabe machine.
It's close.
Okay.
It's close.
So and we know that Hayden Gillam's getting parts trickling in to make that bike more of a Superbike, and you can see his teammate JD Beach directly behind him, and then you have Ashton Yates. So a couple of our stock 1000 competitors right now battling all together, and Bobby Fong now has had that gap from himself and Herrin close up. Herrin at the moment is going to try to do his best to get by Fong as early as he can. Hannah.
Well, this could really put a change in Bobby Fong's plans. He was really hoping not to let Cameron Beaubier break away, but with a 1.7-second gap and now pressure from Herrin, he's definitely got his work cut out for him. I did talk to him about setup. He said they tried some things this morning, and they went back to their qualifying setup. It's just more stability than some of the changes that they tried. The bike was a bit nervous on the brakes and through the S's, so he's feeling about what they're bringing to the table for today's race, but he is feeling like he has to play catch up after yesterday's results, and Josh Herrin's certainly not going to make it easy on him right now.
And you're 100% right on that. And you know, the thing is we saw Herrin duck down the inside and thought about going by in turn one. Greg, the thing is, at the beginning of a race, especially on new tires, everybody's pushing as hard as they can to create these gaps. It makes it very, very difficult. There's only really a couple places that we can really try to pass when you're at the level of these guys right now. As race goes on and tires start to get a little bit older, you can play with some different spots. Herrin's going to have to try to do something down this back straightaway with Bobby Fong. He's going to be able to get in the draft. That's a little bit bigger gap than what I would like to be as far as the draft goes. He was behind him in turn one, which then again tells me that Fong was a little better through that first sector, and he's also been a little bit better in this second sector, even though the times that come up on my screen are only showing a 10th, but you can see Herrin just wasn't able to get in the draft there to pass him at the end of the straight. Yeah,
and right now looking at Herrin's Ducati, and when he gets on the gas, you can see that he's getting a lot of movement at the rear end of the motorcycle, and that could be from wheel spin, and that is not going to bode well for him later on in this race if Bobby Fong and his tire combination, the Dunlop slicks, aren't having as much wheel spin. So Herrin's got to make sure he sticks on the back of Bobby Fong, maybe putting pressure on him and hoping that Fong's going to make a mistake, open the door, and then Herrin, you can see the top speeds, 188.2 miles an hour. Wow. And that is through the kink, so you're leaned over when you're doing that. 187 for the BMW. Hayden Gillim at 185 on the Honda CBR 1000 RR-R. He's back there, is Hayden Gillim in that Honda tussle in 8th, 9th, and 10th place. All right, so back we go to the 32 of Jake Gagne, Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha. And for Gagne, really, Jay, he missed so much of the last back half of the season with all the arm pump issues that he's had and his hands going numb. And we're so happy to see him back on a motorcycle and getting back to full strength this weekend, just missing that 0.5% that you need to stick with the guys up front.
Yeah, but they haven't really, like, the two up front haven't just completely gapped themselves. So you can see as SDK goes down the inside of Gagne, that's been a spot where SDK has been so fast. I was over watching earlier in the week, and oh man, as he gets out of shape on the top, let's see, these guys will probably give each other a little bit of room. Yeah, SDK is able to hold that position. He is so fast on the entry to turn 10, you can visibly see him just letting go of the lever. If you see the yellow parts of his gloves, you know, and you study that, and that's kind of what I was doing, and I could just see him releasing the lever and carrying so much roll speed into the middle of 10, and you saw him just do that just now to Gagne, although he ran a little bit wide in the middle and allowed Gagne to pull up alongside of him again. But SDK's got that position now. Now he's going to try to get through this first sector and start to bridge that gap between the two in front of him.
You see Gagne getting up over the curbs, and as we look at the replay here, as
just gets him out of shape a little bit there. He knew he was in wide.
Yeah.
And so when he went back to the right, he when he started to get on the gas, he wanted to keep the bike tight so that Gagne didn't square him up and go back underneath him. And just gave it a little bit of gas, a little bit too much gas. And that's when you saw the bike spin up.
No drama there, but at the top of turn number 2, you have these curbs, and riders with motocross experience like to get on the pegs, get off the seat an inch or two, and allow the motorcycle to bounce around. And Jake Gagne, of course, Jason, as you know, one of the best motocross riders we have in the MotoAmerica paddock.
Yeah. Well, he's qualified for an actual AMA National on a 450 at Utah Motorsports Park years ago. And he's been riding motocross again, which has been great because he had some procedures and some things done during the offseason to try to work on some of that arm pump. And he'd been off a motocross bike for a couple of years, but he's been riding a lot of motocross again, and you know, just to kind of test that arm. So he said he's doing really well.
So Cameron Beaubier nursing a 3.6 second lead over Bobby Fong and Josh Herrin. Herrin now just a second behind. We're looking at the battle for 4th place between Vision Wheel Import Star Suzuki Sean Dillon Kelly, the sensation from last season when he showed up for the first time in this class, Hannah, on a BMW, now on the factory Suzuki.
It's been definitely a change for him, but some familiarity with crew chief Jeremy Toy, as I've said in prior races this season. They've got a great rapport, and they're really working toward finding something that works for Sean. He's been third quickest in all of this, or at least in the top 3 quickest in every session this weekend. He really wanted that podium yesterday. When I talked to him earlier, he said he hasn't had the opportunity to really show the potential in the dry, and he said he won't settle for anything less than a podium today. So I know he's got eyes on Herrin. If he can see him out there on the track, he's just chasing that carrot, if you will.
Yeah, and now that he's kind of starting to break away from Gagne, we're going to be very interested to see what those lap times are, because last time by, Herrin went 125.439, SDK went 125.8, so Herrin had the 0.4 of a second advantage on the last lap, but the 32 continues to hound him. All right, so here's a look at number 69, Hayden Gillum on the Real Steel Honda. I mentioned it's a Superbike wannabe. Now, this is a Superbike in the making, Jason. So as of right now, talking to the team, the front end of this CBR 1000RR is basically Superbike trim. They have the adjustable triple clamps. They have the forks they need. What they're waiting for are more engine modifications, and they're also waiting for the swing arm. Very critical, Hayden Gillum was telling me, right here, this part of the track, when you're getting it up on the meat of the tire, having a full Superbike swing arm is going to be massive. So they've ordered one from Harris. It's going to be here soon. So they're constantly developing this Real Steel Honda CBR 1000 RR-RSP. So the bike behind it, the number 27, is Ashton Yates. Now Ashton Yates on this Jones Honda CBR 1000 RR-RSP, that's more of a motorcycle that's in stock 1000 trim. So it's interesting to talk to Hayden Gillum, as he knows that the team is gaining more experience on this motorcycle. Of course, Gillum taking the Honda CBR 1000 to National Championship in stock 1000 last year. Yep. So that's where we are with the development of this bike 2 races into the season.
And you know, with the things that they're getting and the new parts that they put on there, depending on how much testing they got, this will be an ongoing thing for this team this year, with the hopes that even moving forward into 2026 and beyond, that this bike will just continue to develop. We've been watching the results in World Superbike and getting better over there with Beaubier and Jake riding the factory Hondas in World Superbike. Their results have slowly been starting to get a little bit better, even though this program's 5-6 years old now. And I think that some of that stuff hopefully will start to trickle down. For Ashton Yates, just continues to ride hard, putting in great rides. A couple podiums this weekend for him in our stock 1000 class. So for Ashton, these laps that he's doing now, obviously a place that he doesn't live far from either, here in Georgia.
And his dad's a legend here.
Dad is an absolute legend anywhere. And the thing is that Ashton's just putting in the time, and this is even going to help him, being able to chase Hayden right now. These guys might get a chance to talk later on and talk about the differences and the things that they notice between each other's motorcycles.
And both riders are heavily supported by American Honda out of Torrance, California, and here in Georgia as well. And so there's a lot of people that are here from Honda on the East Coast watching the results of this. And if you're coming to a MotoAmerica race this season, which you should, when you go into our paddock, you're going to notice the Honda hauler, the semi of the Real Steel Honda team of Hayden Gillum. And if you think that's familiar, that was a race transporter that was been around Honda since Miguel Duhamel's days. Side by side, they go down the back straightaway into turn number 10 as this battle between the 27 of Ashton Yates and Hayden Gillum continues to rage for 8th place. And right at the bottom of that hill, Hayden Gillum, hard on the brakes, gets it done and holds on to the position.
Yeah, does a really good job, because you know Ashton, if you follow, I like following these guys on Instagram, and Ashton is always on the super motorbike, always practicing, always working hard. And I got to talk to Lucky today as well, which is his grandfather, which is awesome, and said hi to him real briefly. But Ashton's a fun follow because he does a lot of cool things on super motor bikes, and he's always trying hard to get better. And it's good to see these guys back, Honda specifically. It's good to see them back in the MotoAmerica paddock.
Yeah, definitely for Yates, as long as he's been in this paddock, Jay, still always with a smile on his face.
Always.
Like, he has that kind of Yates thing where it's like, I just love being on a motorbike and I love turning the grip.
And just genuinely a nice guy. And these guys, you can see just in the distance, just in front of him, Benjamin Smith, who we were able to talk to prior to the race. He's just up the road, and these guys are just closing in about half a second. There's a good look at Benjamin Smith. For Benjamin right now being, it was crazy when I heard Hannah said she's been interviewing him for 8 or 9 years. We saw him come through Junior Cup. and so on. And this young man here's got a lot of talent, Greg. And I think the most important thing for him right now, get that bike, bring it back to the crew by the end of the race. You're in 7th right now. You're coming off a career best 5th. These results and these dry laps that he's doing, really kind of getting used to a Superbike for the first time in his life. These are the kind of results that you want to continue to get, Hannah.
Well, like you mentioned, the development of this motorcycle and his skills on it are led by his crew chief this season, Ed Sullivan, who's got a lot of experience with the R1. He's really familiar with this motorcycle. He said he feels like this is a really good relationship that they're building at the right time for Benjamin, at the point that he is in his career with his age, just to help him cultivate and further develop that talent and communication skills and really learn about different things that he's feeling on the motorcycle. So it's a really cool matchup to see these two, and I'm curious to see how things will go as the season unfolds with the two of them and the progress that they're able to make together.
Yeah, and the Flow for Law SBU racing team is built around this rider. It wasn't like they decided to take a motorcycle, have a seat available, and then they said, who can ride it? It's about Benjamin Smith, his young talent, and saying, look, we can build a motorcycle and this program around you. And of course, Ed Sullivan spent years and years with Matthew Stoltz, and he is no stranger to building a race-winning Superbike. All right, so back up to 4th place we go. Sean Dylan Kelly leading Jake Gagne, and all of a sudden, off of what was last lap, his best personal lap of the race, 6th place, number 54, Richie Escalante. Teammates to Sean Dylan Kelly on that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki GSXR 1000R. So we keep an eye on the 54. The Mexican rider comes across the stripe, only a couple tenths of a second off his best, and equaling what the competitors, 25 sevens across the board for our 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, and 6th place race.
Yeah, and for Richie Escalante, we remember here last year, Greg, he had a horrendous accident here after the finish of race 1. Him and Loris Baz getting together down just after the checkered flag. It's been a fight back to get him healthy again. We got him back about halfway through the year. You see him spinning the bike up through the S's. But for Richie Escalante, I think, again, getting these solid laps in play for himself. He made some changes overnight. They were trying to make the bike more subtle for him, make it calm down a little bit more under acceleration. There's Herrin there, SDK, Jake Gagne just behind, and then Escalante's just a little bit, what is he, Greg? Maybe a couple seconds behind those guys.
Yeah, you saw it just up front is the number 1 player, Josh Herrin. He is in 3rd place. He's got a 2.5 second gap to these riders. But as we look at split times, Herrin's still holding them at bay. Like, he's not losing any time whatsoever. But up front, Bobby Fong in 2nd place is still a couple tenths ahead of Josh Herrin. So at this moment, with about 6 laps to go, when Beaubier comes across the stripe, I believe, unless he's already coming, yeah, 6 laps to go as he just came across the line. For Herrin, he's in a comfortable position right now. His pit board, when he goes by now, will tell him what Dylan Kelly's doing, what Gagne and Escalante are doing. So I think for Josh Herrin, the expectation coming in here, if he's able to leave this weekend in this dry race with a 3rd place finish and be able to get himself 16 points, it's going to be good. But for your championship points leader who had 9 points over Gagne, he's doing exactly what he needs to do to maximize his points haul, not knowing that his championship rival this early in the season, Gagne, is in 5th place. That's a 14-point difference.
Yeah, let's talk about this guy for a minute, because with all the experience that Cam has, I talked to him this morning during the autograph signing. He had his son on his lap with him, and see the bike getting wiggling out of the way. And he said, Jay, he said, in the race yesterday in the rain, I've never felt so uncomfortable on a bike in wet conditions, and the team has done such a good job of getting me more and more comfortable on the motorcycle. So for Cam Beaubier, he just looks super comfortable out front right now.
I was down there during an autograph session under their canopy today, and a fan came up to Cameron and said, how do you have so much confidence in the rain? And Cam looked up at him and says, I don't have it.
I don't have it.
I don't
That's
have
what
it.
He said to me.
Yeah, and he's like, my team did such a good job with that motorcycle. And I commented, I just said, you know, for Cameron Beaubier, I think it was the fact that every corner he made it through it. And he's like, okay, now I can go to the next corner and the next corner and the next corner.
Yeah, no question. Good look there. Just now at Bobby Fong, and here's the gap all the way back. So our front 3 are really actually spread out quite a bit. Josh Herrin looked like he had something for Bobby at the beginning of the race, but Bobby's done a really good job of just kind of just making this gap get bigger. 25 flat, 25-1 for Beaubier, 25 flat for Fong that last time through, 25-8 for this guy. The guys behind him are just doing the exact same times. Now, Richie Escalante went 25-4 that last time. So he's still trying to close that gap to the guys in front. You can see Escalante now is almost to the back of Gagne as STK has created a bit of a gap to the 32, which is Jake Gagne here. So I don't think that Jake Gagne's fights are quite over just yet, because the 54 of Escalante is moving forward and continuing to get quicker as he does his fastest lap of the race with 5 laps to go. Escalante on the move.
And keep in mind, last year when we were here for the #1 plate of Josh Herrin, he left Road Atlanta only scoring 18 total points out of a possible 50. So for Herrin, I think, you know, you looked at it at the beginning of the season last year, it was a bit of a struggle, but he's had an outstanding weekend for how he feels about coming to this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking with him, he said, yeah, I just want to get through these first 2 rounds and get whatever points I can get and then go forward. So see, they're catching up to the back of Joe Giannato here. And I think these guys will probably be able to roll by. STK is going to get by no problem, I think, going down into turn 1. It'll be interesting to see where Gagne is going to get by Joe. He's probably going to get him going up the hill. And Escalante just might be in the wrong spot at the wrong time here. Let's see if Jake goes past Joe. He does. Oh, he doesn't.
Oh,
so
no.
This is really going to help Escalante now.
And Gagne had clawed back 0.2 of a second on the lap before. So Joe trying to do, yeah, I mean, the flags are out.
Yeah,
but
Escalante is going to get a little stuck. He's probably going to go up underneath Joe in turn 5. Nope, not able to. So, you know, again, this is, you know, Escalante thought to himself, oh, here we go. I'm going to be able to close right up on the back. And he was.
I do want to make note, it would be more dangerous if Giannato had just checked up at some point.
Correct.
Because lap traffic.
He's got to just keep his head down and do what he did.
He's got to keep his flow, so at least he was predictable in order for those guys to get around him. And really, who it cost the most, I think, is going to be Jake Gagne for the possibility of those extra 2 points. That's the difference between 5th and 4th place, is 13 points to 11 points. So, you know, what it did, though, is possibly get Escalante a little bit closer. So, with less than 3.5 laps to go, it's Beaubier out front. He clicks through, so now 3 laps for your race leader. He's got a 3-second gap over Bobby Fong. Josh Herrin is coming down the hill himself. As Herrin comes across the stripe, he's 9 seconds back from Fong. Sean Dilly-Kelly 2 seconds, then Gagne 2 seconds, and then Escalante, they're about that half a second behind. So there's your top 6 with 3 to go. So Jason, let's talk really about moving forward. We know that our next race is going to be Road America. And here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, do you feel like when your racing experience, are there similar setups? So the more information you're getting here, it can go directly to where we're going next? Or is it still a different racetrack?
No, it's a little bit different racetrack. Not as much elevation, steep elevations and things, but the baselines and stuff, these guys all have obviously very solid baselines. It's going to be small tweaks. As we look at the Honda pair again of Gillum and Ashton Yates, they are now starting to catch up to the back. I've been watching this out the window a little bit. They're just starting to creep up onto the back of Benjamin Smith. 7th, 8th, and 9th place right here. And for Benjamin, this is where he's got to get his elbows up just a little bit. He wants to get this race. He wants to get a result, get a finish. But he's done a lot of really good work here. And these guys, he's probably been watching his board down there saying that it's gone from about +3 down to, well, it's probably going to be +0 now. If they're watching the screens down there, they're going to probably give him +0 or +0.5 second. But with 2, actually, it's going to be 1 lap to go this next time by. The 78 is going to have to hang on a little bit because he's got a couple of hard charges and a couple very hard breakers that are coming up right behind him right now.
Yeah, you can see, though, that Sportbike Unlimited machine, that Yamaha R1 in full Superbike trim, has definitely got an advantage coming off the corner of 7 and long back straightaway as well.
2 to go.
And Gagne is
Escalante's
ahead.
There,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. He's just ahead of Escalante, who is on the charge. So another point or so from 5th to 6th. But everything matters when you're looking at this championship, because we're going to go to some racetracks coming up where the Yamaha really shines. Although Cameron Beaubier,
wow, Richie's got a lot of speed through there, just like his teammate when we talk about that roll.
And look, a lot of people talk about the Suzuki GSX-R 1000 being an older chassis, but without question, it's still one of the best chassis.
Absolutely,
there.
Yes.
It may be down on horsepower in some instances. We can see on the top speeds from some of the newer developed bike, but there is still massive value in the GSX-R 1000.
And what Chris Orch and that whole team down there have done to make this bike continue to evolve. I mean, that's a big job what they've been able to do. And you can see they're running right now with Gagne. Escalante is going to do what he can to try to get by. This guy is on his last lap. Pretty impressed with Bobby Fong. Bobby Fong hasn't just let him roll away. It's 2.4 seconds. Bobby's keeping him honest. As you see Gagne and Escalante again up over the top of the rise. What's Escalante got planned? Where's he thinking that he can maybe make this move on Jake Gagne going into this last lap?
Well, it's not going to be in turn number 1 after that wheel spin drive that he got into the front straightaway. But Gagne's strong in this section. And one of the improvements on the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki's been made is the new swing arm. So this Suzuki team has a new swing arm, Jason, from factory Suzuki. It's the CERT team, the Suzuki Endurance World Team, the same swing arm they use in that championship, which you have 2 World Championship titles. And so our team here in MotoAmerica was able to get a hold of that swing arm, and that's been a subtle change to edge grip for this motorcycle, and both riders really liking the way it feels.
Well, those swing arms are built to go for 24 hours, and if you're going to go for 24 hours, you need to have something underneath you that is going to be able to sustain that amount of punishment over that amount of time and still offer you all the grip that you need over that time. So making it easier, as you see Beaubier, just what a ride today. What a ride yesterday. He's going to walk out of Road Atlanta with max points as he gets down to the last corner, Greg.
Cameron Beaubier, Tytler Cycles BMW. To the line he comes, and a huge victory here in Georgia, and extends his points lead. And Bobby Fong only 2.3 seconds behind, but tip of the cap to the number 1 plate. The amount of points he's able to score this weekend, he gets himself 16 for 3rd place. And here comes Sean Dillon Kelly across the line, and it's going to be Jake Gagne, who holds on to 5th place on his attack performance progressive Yamaha. And then this battle looks like it's Ashton Yates who got around Hayden Gillum. And where's Benjamin Smith?
Stayed ahead of both of them. So Ashton actually got by Gillum on the last lap coming out of the last corner just now. And good for Benjamin Smith. 7th place, solid weekend for him. He's going to beat Ashton Yates to 8th, Hayden Gillum 9th. As you get a chance here to look at our winners. 10th place should be JD Beach. I see him coming down the hill now.
And guess what, Jason?
Let's hear it.
89th career win overall for Cameron Beaubier across all classes. That ties him with the great Josh Hayes, who's still racing.
Oh, yeah.
He's in our Motivation Super Sport class. 89 ties him all time with Josh Hayes. And trust me, Hayes is tired of hearing that stat for sure. And he's going to want to win another couple of races here and force Cameron into a few more race wins. They could be duking it out in different classes all season long. Here's a look at that Dunlop race pace. You can see that Beaubier is doing Beaubier things. We've seen 2 strategies from Cameron so far this season. One of them has been that first 4 to 5 lap push. Who is going to be able to hang with me? If anybody's there, he saves a little bit for the end, and then he just puts it down. He didn't need to do that today.
No, he rode just flawless, got a great start. But you know, Greg, when you look at it, I know that riders can control paces and things like that. When you're 2.5 seconds up, 3 seconds up, you want to make it 4 or 5. That's more comfortable. Bobby Fong did a good job keeping him honest today. Bobby ran a very consistent race, only ends up 2.3 seconds behind Cameron Beaubier. So there's going to be some places this year, a lot of places, I think, where Bobby Fong's going to be a big problem for our Superbike category this year. And but for Cam Beaubier, man, 89 wins. It doesn't seem real because we've watched all of them pretty much, and he disappeared for a couple years, don't forget, too, and went over to Europe.
He certainly did, but he's back here now. And when he gets back to victory lane, Hannah's going to ask him about his 89th race win.
As we were watching this Superbike race unfold, Roger, were there any surprises that stood out to you?
No, I think, for Richie Escalante, just really got going a little too late. Bad start. But, man, he had incredible pace. It's kind of played out the way we've seen them practice in the qualifying all weekend with Cam Beaubier able to put those really good laps down early on into the race. And from there, it was like he just controlled it. He backed off a little bit. And for Bobby Fong, though, I thought that was a great bounce-back race from yesterday's incident in the rain. And getting more seat time, more laps in the drive for Bobby on his new team and new bike is going to be huge for him going forward.
Next round of racing for Superbike is going to be at MotoAmerica. And it's just going to be a couple of weeks. We know some of the bikes still are looking for some further development. Who do you think has the most ground to make up when you look at the front runners?
Well, I think the Ducati and the BMW are both known for their top speed. That's their strength right now, or one of their strengths, and that's what's going to come into play at MotoAmerica. So for those two, I think they got to be feeling really good going into that race, and now everybody's going to have a couple races under their belt, a couple weeks to improve, and that's when really this season's going to start getting going. Then we start having races back to back to back, and it's hard to make up points from there.
I'm excited to see Sean Dillon Kelly in just a couple of weeks once we get to MotoAmerica with the new swing arm, to see what they're able to do, as well as further development for Richie Escalante, his teammate Hayden Gillum. We know more Superbike parts and pieces coming on board, so a lot of good things coming down the pipeline here in Superbike. You can see the riders, the top three, have made their way to the podium. Let's send it back to Greg and Jason so we can hear from them with Hannah.
Bobby, to me. After a 2.3-second victory in race number 2 here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Cameron Beaubier and his Tyler Cycles BMW comes in to celebrate with his crew, and smiles on the faces as they should have. You know, it's a weekend like this, JP, when the weather's around and you've got to really maximize dry time on Friday in order to, in this particular case, have the setup that works for a dry Sunday. So it's 2.359 over Bobby Fong. Great ride. Really tip of the cap to Josh Herrin, the #1 plate. 12.7 seconds behind in third place, but a good solid 16 points, especially after the motorcycle that looked like it was moving around quite a bit. But Hannah's down there with our winner, Cameron Beaubier.
And it is a career 89th victory for Cameron Beaubier, meaning he ties the AMA all-time win record with Josh Hayes. Cam, you put on an absolute clinic out there today. How are you feeling after doing the double here in Atlanta?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Thanks to my Tytlers team. This BMW is on rails in the wet and the dry this weekend. I had so much fun. I always have fun riding around this track. Road Atlanta is such a fun, physically demanding track, and I get to open up the legs on the BMW on the back straight. So, yeah, awesome race. Was able to put my head down there at the beginning and click off some really good laps. Backed it down a little bit, and then my gap started shrinking, and I think Bob was starting to reel me back in. So. Kept my head down a little bit longer and was able to manage it to the end. So like I said, hats off to the Tytlers boys. They've gave me an awesome bike. Just a really fun weekend. Amazing weekend, going 1-1 on the weekend. Having my wife and little Brody here. It's Brody's first race where he actually knows what's going on, and Shelby's had her hands full all weekend chasing around the paddock. So it's super special to have them here this weekend. And yeah, thank the Lord for keeping us all safe. All the fans for coming out. Bell, Alpine Stars, and yeah, team, and see you guys next round.
I saw Brody sitting on your bike a little bit earlier today. He was not wanting to get off it to let you get to work. A couple weeks until the next race. Any plans for you and the family for the holiday weekend?
Yeah, there's spend Mother's Day with my mom and my wife Shelby and my in-law Tammy, and yeah, it should be a fun Mother's Day weekend, and get ready for MotoAmerica.
We'll see you in a few weeks. Congratulations, Cameron Beaubier, today's race winner. Second place today to Bobby Fong. Bobby, after such a tough race one yesterday, how you feeling to bring it back on the box today?
Oh, it feels great. Honestly, I'm happy to be up here. I'm just trying to run this guy down. It was like a little yo-yo effect a little bit, but I need to do my homework to be able to beat him. But hey, my progressive attack Yamaha performance obviously is one of the best bikes out here, and it deserves to be on this podium. So I'm happy to be here, and we're going to do some work from here to MotoAmerica and just to improve a little bit. But we need to rack some points and have some fun, and thanks for everybody to come out. There's a lot of guys I know here, supporting me, so thank you, and I'm happy to be up here.
Kind of a lonely race out there. You've got someone not too close behind you, not putting any pressure on you, but Cameron Beaubier not quite in reach. What's going on in your mind when you're just sitting there? Do you have a lot of extra time to think, or are you really focus on what you're doing?
No, honestly, my dad really taught me to go as fast as the bike and the track is going to let you on that given day. So I do a lot of training back home, just riding by myself and pushing myself. So just stay within my limits. Obviously, it's nice to have a carrot, but I'm used to riding, just within myself and just pushing 110%.
Congrats, Bobby. Rounding out your podium, Josh Herrin, our defending champion, and a lot more confidence today than we've seen out of you. Admittedly, not your favorite track here. Did that confidence come from a more mechanical improvement, or was it mental today for you?
The guys for sure worked really hard to try to get us as good of a bike as possible with the new tires. I just, gave it my best. That's all I could do is go out and try my hardest. Couldn't hang on to the back of Bobby. I had him for a few laps, but just was wrestling the bike too much to be able to hold on for doing the lap times, and I was losing a lot driving out of the corners for some reason. We were having some grip issues that we weren't having as bad earlier in the weekend, and I felt like I was really not being smart trying to catch up by braking later, and it just was wearing me out and having the front tuck, just having to try to make up in too many spots, taking too many risks just to try to hang on. And so then my mission just became to just stay on the box, and then I ran off in the chicane in turn 3. I clipped the dirt with my front tire, and I thought I was going down. I thought I was going to high side. Luckily saved it, ran through the grass. But yeah, I'm just happy to get out of here with some good points. The first 2 rounds last year were a nightmare for us. We've accomplished a huge goal of ours, which is getting the bike good in the wet. So huge thanks to the entire team for making that happen, because that was really stressful whenever we go into a wet race last year and lose a bunch of points and just know it was going to be difficult for us. So thank you to my entire Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati team, and yeah, hopefully Road America treats us as good as it usually does. And like JP always said on the broadcast, it seems like from here on out we got a lot of tracks that treat us well, that I don't have to force the issue to go fast at. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the year, and yeah, happy to go home and see Rachel and Griffin right now.
Josh Herrin overcame a lot to finish the weekend on a high note, guys.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, if you look at what he did last year here, 18 points, he was able to double that points haul, 36. So in a really good position as he leaves Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in his defense of his #1. So obviously Cameron Beaubier's son wants back on the motorcycle.
He wants on the podium.
He wants on the podium with his pops. But he's got work to do as these 3 go off and celebrate. And our coverage of Superbike on a MotoAmerica Superbike weekend at Atlanta continues from Braselton, Georgia after this.
Poor Brody was not excited about watching the podium celebration. He wanted to go up there with Dad.
He wanted to be part of it.
Some of the things that they were saying there, just particularly, let's talk about Bobby Fong first off, saying that he's always just trying to get the most that he can get out of the bike in the racetrack on that particular day, not pushing it, just trying to absorb as many points as possible.
And for him, just getting the points, Dave, of course he wants to go after Beaubier, and I think he can keep making tweaks to the bike over race distance. With 2 wet races, he's kind of missed out on some of that dry data that he could get. But for Bobby, I think it's got to be encouraging. He was able to match Beaubier toward the end of that race. Now he knows what he needs to do is get those first couple laps and not let that gap happen.
As we get ready for more racing action here this afternoon at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Next up to the racetrack will be Mission, King of the Baggers. Can see right now crew members running across pit lane to go out to the grid area to meet their riders. So riders now out around the racetrack. If you're here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, you'll see the big bikes coming through here pretty soon. These Superbike riders will take some more photos over to celebrate this podium result. Then they will come up here to the media center. There will be a post-race press conference that will be available on Facebook and some of the other social media channels on the MotoAmerica sites later on this afternoon. What do you think they're talking about, Roger?
Looks like Bobby's talking about the track. You can tell by the hand motion. He's talking about where the bike was really moving around a lot, and I'm sure Cam's telling him a couple things as well.
Let's go ahead and send it back to Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
MotoAmerica Superbike is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series, and by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
Beautiful day for racing motorcycles, and Superbike race #2 is done, but Hannah's not.
I'm here with Richie Escalante, who had a race-long battle with Gagne. Richie, how was the bike feeling underneath you? Do you feel like you had what you needed to try and fight with Gagne, or was there a little something more you were looking for?
Yes, honestly, I'm expecting a difficult race, especially in the beginning. I lost so much time with Smith, the first 3-4 laps. And after that, I just find my pace, and every lap I feeling better and better. So I just close the gap with Gagne, and the last 4-5 laps, it's really good to see just what he's doing in the track. It's a little bit special, like riding style. So I learned a lot, and then I decide maybe to attack in front 10 and also in the last corner, but Gagne closed the door, and it's no chance to make the pass. But really happy to finish close to the podium and with the P3 Herrin, and also close to my teammates. So I'm happy about today.
After such a difficult weekend here at this track last season, are you feeling a lot better about walking away with the whole weekend under your belt and 2 whole races healthy and feeling good?
Yes, I'm happy to finish Road Atlanta after last year. It's really important for myself, just finish this weekend. Also, I make a step in the wet. I feel good today. I believe in my race pace, but of course I need to improve in the qualifying and also a little bit more aggressive in the beginning. Always good in the last lap, so we'll see. But I'm super happy, and maybe one more test before Road America, so we'll see. I'm super happy. Thanks to my team, Bishop William for Extra Suzuki, to my personal sponsor, Mission Foods, and to everybody to support me.
Thanks, Richie. Guys.
Gave us a little bit of information there. Got a test going on, which is always good. And some of the other teams might have some tests as well before we head off to Wisconsin. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Now knowing that Visual M4 X-Star Suzuki team is going to go test, Roger, testing of course not the same as race conditions, but what kind of things do the teams try to work through in those scenarios?
Well, we know that on the pre-show, Sean was talking about a new swing arm. So maybe they're going to get that and then go testing, because you really need to get some laps. But I think for Richie Escalante, able to sit there and follow Jake Gagne there, see where his weak points are, what he can do better on the bike. And for Sean also, in the battles he had in the places where he was struggling, just go and work on those. And you know, the race weekend is just so fast, you know, the sessions, and you don't want to make big changes at it. You don't talk to the team as much as you'd like. So when you go testing, you can really look at the data. You can really talk to the crew. You're not in such a big hurry to get back out. You can take your time. You can take some big swings at it, because if it's bad, you just kind of go back to the other direction.
See the grid now getting set for Mission King of the Baggers. All of the riders have now found their grid position, the same grid that we qualified with earlier in the weekend. Very different conditions here today, of course. Race number 1, that was won by Loris Baz. We'll see if he can repeat. What do you think?
I think he can. He showed great pace all weekend in the warm-up as well in the dry. So I think we're going to see a good ride out of Loris, and it's going to be fun seeing a new rider at the front.
Kyle Wyman there on the screen, our pole sitter. He's been quick in all of the various sessions, just didn't push the envelope there yesterday in race number 1. We're going to send it to Greg, Jason, and Hannah for the call of Baggers.
Here's a look at race 2 highlights from Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta.
Yeah, it was good that we saw his SDK creep just a little bit. No further action was needed on that one. Cam Beaubier took to the front. Bobby Fong second. Didn't really pass for the podium, and it was set at that point. And then Gagne and SDK had a battle for about 5 or 6 laps. But you see here out in the front, SDK goes up underneath. Gagne squares it up, but wasn't able to go back up underneath. They were like this for the majority of the race until SDK started to pull away. But Beaubier, when you look back, he didn't have anybody really up behind him, but it was Fong that wasn't that far back. He kind of kept it close, 3.5 seconds, got down to like 2.4 at the end. But irregardless, it's 25 points for the bank for Beaubier and extending his championship points lead.
Now, when a rider at this level is having this much fun on a very capable machine, this is exactly what you get. His championship point standings after a couple race weekends so far. 23 now, the gap between Beaubier and Gagne. Well, that certainly was a weekend of fine racing here at Michelin Raceway. Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia. We're doing it again, May 30th through June 1st. Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We know you're going to be there on a very fun weekend where we'll resume this Superbike class and the high-speed machines that we love so much in the U.S. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. We'll see you then.